Shalom and good morning, everyone. Let's see here. Got to get, I need to share this link with a couple of people, so bear with me. Let me blow this picture up so you can see it. Well, this is a continuation from yesterday's lesson. The Father wants us to perfect our notes because we know how the children of Satan are. We know how they are. So today we're going to be perfecting and getting deeper into the mysteries. While I'm sharing this link with a couple of people, let me first open up with a greeting. I first like to give honors to our Heavenly Father, for He is the Most High Yah. He is the God above all gods. He is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I give all praises and honor and glory unto Him, for He truly is a Father unto us. I also give honors unto His Son, Yahusha The Messiah, for He is the Son of the living God. He is the second Adam. He is the left of the sheep, which is the door. He is the iron of the body, which is He's the fountain of the living waters, and He is the lifeless eye of the body. And lastly, I want to give my respects unto our mother. Yes, we have a mother. What's done in heaven is done in earth. For Yahushua HaMashiach says this about her. He said, wisdom shall be justified by her children, meaning that she's not made in vain. The Father created her. She shall bring forth, or she shall birth the children of the light. Mysteries that I speak unto you, that many do not understand. Almost there, y'all. Just got to copy and paste and share this link. Let's see here. So at this time, I want you to take a look at this picture, the shittim wood. Forgive my tongue, y'all. Take a look at this picture here, because that's one of the areas we're going to go in today to elaborate on the altar of burnt offerings. The altar of the burnt offerings. As I said before, Torah gives us the physical example so we can understand the spiritual things. Torah gives us what? The earthly examples so we can understand the heavenly things. Mysteries, right? Mysteries. Well, I got two more to share this link to, and then we all can go ahead and get into the word. All right. Let us get started here. Shalom and good morning, King Adam. Shalom and good morning. So take a look at this picture and just meditate on this. Notice the I want to say the melon that's in this wood, okay? Because we're gonna go more deeper about the melon that's in this wood here. But first, let me get this out of the way. I'm gonna share some commentaries with you. So this title is part 3, the altar, Revelations chapter 1, Abomination, Desolation, and daily sacrifice. What was is now the mystery. Now, the what was is now is pertaining to the daily sacrifice. That is our focus. But as you see, the daily sacrifice is going to lead us into these other areas, which is the altar, Revelation chapter 1, and the abomination of desolation. I first want us to open up with the writings of Enoch. Today we're going to first Enoch, and you'll see why. We're going to chapter 71. 71. Okay. We're going to open up with that before we go back to the notes, because the Father's telling us to perfect the notes. I'm telling you, when the children of Satan get this word, or when we have some of our brothers and sisters, whether they're Israelites or Gentiles, who get this word, who don't have the full understanding, people are going to run with it. So he said, bring the witnesses out. And his witnesses are the prophets, as well as the earth and the heavens. They're going to testify against them. So that's who they come against. They're coming against the Father's witness. So in First Enoch chapter 71, depending what copy of Enoch that you have, I have Joseph Lipton copy. In his book, you can find it on page 120. That's where we're going today. Let me move my cursor a little faster so we get right to it. Unfortunately, I couldn't find my main link that I use, so that's why it'll take me a little longer to get there. Okay, going to page 120. Almost there at 133. Okay. First Enoch chapter 71, verse 1. And it came to pass after this that my spirit was translated, carried out, and it ascended into heaven. And I saw the sons of the holy angels, sons of God. They were walking on flames of fire. Their garments were white, and their faces shone like snow. This is the verse you want to highlight for those who have a copy of this book, because now it's going to expound what does it mean in Revelation 1 that his head was white as snow. Like I said, Father's going to give you witness upon witness, because we know already there are going to be those who do not go into Hebrew. Yesterday, I shared with you the verses that came from the Song of Solomon. If they look into Hebrew, they will begin to understand What does it mean that his head and his hair was white like snow? But we're going to go a little more deeper. So we're going to read this entire chapter. So I'm giving you nuggets. Verse 2, and I saw two rivers of fire, and the light of that fire shone like high accent, high, sorry, high exif. And I fell on my face before Adonai of spirits. And the angel Michael, one of the archangels, seized me by my right hand and lifted me up and led me out into all the secrets. And he showed me all the secrets of righteousness. All the secrets of righteousness were shown. Oh, verse 4. And he showed me all the secrets of the ends of heaven, and all the storehouses of all the stars, and all the lights, from where they proceed before the face of the holy ones. And he translated me, carried my spirit into heaven of heavens. And I saw there as it was built of crystals, and between those crystals tongues of living fire. Verse 6. My spirit saw a circle of fire binding around the house of fire, and on its four sides were rivers full of living fire, and they encircled that house. And round about were seraphims, cherubim, and orphanim. And these are they who slept not, and guard the throne of his glory. And I saw angels who could not be counted, 8,000s, thousands, and 10,000s times 10,000, encircling that house. And Michael, and Raphael, and Gabriel, and Phanuel, and the holy angels who are in heaven above go in and out of that house. And they came out from the house, and Michael, and Gabriel, Raphael, and Phanuel, and many holy angels without number. And with them the head of days, his head white and pure as wool, and his raiment indescribable. You want to highlight that too. Highlight that too. I think about the Ancient of Days in Daniel, witness upon witness. Again, that white has nothing to do with things that deals with when we talk about. I'm going to hold my tongue till we get to the notes. But as you see, we are made in their image. When you understand how we are made in their image, then you understand who Adam was before the fall. Let's keep reading. Verse 11. And I fell on my face, and my whole body melted, and my spirit was transfigured. And I cried with a loud voice in the spirit of power. And I blessed and glorified and exalted. And these blessings which came from my mouth were very pleasing before the head of days. And the head of days came with Michael and Gabriel, Raphael and Phanuel, and thousands and 10,000 were angels without number. And the angel came to me and greeted me with his voice, and said to me, This is the Son of Man, who is born to righteousness, and righteousness abides over him, and the righteousness of the head of days forsakes him not. Do y'all hear this? Let me read this verse slowly. And the angel came to me and greeted me with his voice, and said to me, This is the Son of Man who is born to righteousness, and righteousness abides over him, and the righteousness of the head of days forsakes him not. So now we get a clear understanding who is the head of days. The head of days is Yahuwah. It is his father, and his father forsake him not. Shalom and good morning to those who just came on. For those who have a copy of that, you want to highlight that because now it's defying unto you who is that head of days or who is that Son of Man. That Son of Man is Yahusha HaMashiach. All the prophets talked about him. For those who have not, I put like this. While you're waiting for your time to read Enoch's, go ahead and get your copy because Enoch's writings is for this generation. His writings will explain what is going on in these end days. It is the book to get. The reason why many are, stirred up to speak against this book, some is due to a lack of understanding, others due to the powers of darkness. See, these principalities, these angels, Satan and them do not want you to know who they are and what they are doing because they want to keep you distracted and focus on the flesh. Okay? Enoch is the book to read to understand thy enemy. You must know who thy enemy is in order to go in battle with the enemy. And when you read Enoch's writings, you begin to understand that you cannot defeat them by your hand. You need the Holy One of Yahuwah. You need that power of Yahuwah, who's known as the right hand and the stretched out arm of Yahuwah, to defeat him. Because he is the only one who can restore unto you who you truly are. And who is that? Adam. And when you know who you are, Satan has no power and no reign over you. This is why it's so important to know who you are. Even Mary, the beloved, the beloved companion of Yahusha, she even wrote a testimony. And she gave the greatest mystery. And within that mystery, she too would testify or be a witness that you must know who you are in order to defeat the powers of darkness. Let us continue. Verse 15. And he said to me, he proclaims to you peace. Oh, y'all, do y'all hear that? He proclaims to you peace in the name of the world to come. For from their peace has proceeded since the creation of the world, and it shall be with you forever and forever and ever. Now you get to understanding why we greet each other in shalom, peace. The mystery of that. Who is the one who is given the power and the authority to conquer chaos? And chaos is Satan. Who is that one? Yahusha HaMashiach. Let's keep going. Verse 16. And all shall walk in his ways, since righteousness never forsook him. So we follow behind what the Lamb. Okay. Their dwelling place shall be with him, and it will be their heritage. Do y'all hear that? Their dwelling place shall be with him, and it will be their heritage, and they shall not be separated from him forever and ever and ever. This is the highest inheritance, y'all. Come on. Verse 17. And so there shall be length of days with the son of Adam, the son of man, and the righteous shall have peace and upright way in the name of Adonai of spirits forever and ever. So be it. Okay? So let us copy these two verses to add to our notes. Okay, I can't copy. I'm going to have to type it. All right, Father. That is fine with me. No problem. Okay, let's go over here, y'all. So that pertains to the altar of burnt offerings. There we go. Let's see. So we want the column that deals with the renewing on this in the New Testament, and we want to go under Revelation chapter 1 area. We had this under verse 14. I'm not going to put it to the top. And the reason I'm going to put to the top, we have the confirmation that when the head and the hairs are white like wool as snow, it's dealing with illumination. I believe the scriptures that pertain to the earthly example. Okay, I'm not talking about the heavenly example, but the earthly example. So when the enemy want to go the other direction, it's going to cut them. Do y'all see what the Father is setting before us now? Okay. So this is from First Enoch, chapter 71. We're going to look at the first verse. We're going to type that in there. And I want you to meditate on that first verse. It said, and it came to pass after this that my spirit was translated. And we know translated means to be carried off. And it ascended into heaven. So this is the heavenly realm. We're going to make this clear. This took place in the heavenly realm, right? And I saw the sons of the holy angels. And I'm going to put that parentheses because people are not aware that the angels too are his children, who are the sons of God. Okay. They were walking on flames of fire. Yeah, I hear that. The angels were walking on flames of fire, okay? Their garments, as I'm typing this, the Father speaking to me, it said it should remind you of the verse that the Messiah told unto us as the bride in 144. We would become like the angels in heaven, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Their garments were white and their faces shone like snow. So for translator, I would put in that parenthesis definition because people do not understand what it means to be translated. Even though we have the testimony of Enoch in the King James 6:11 Bible, okay? People often put our Father in the box, but our Father can do all things. He can do the impossible. The problem is that we try to figure it out, but sometimes we gotta be like little children, just accept it for what it is, you know. So we know this took place in the heavenly realm when Enoch saw these things. So notice here, garments are white. Garments that are white are represented unto you righteousness. The book of Revelation will expound on that by looking at the saints. There too will be given their garments of righteousness. That's what it means, or what Daniel was expounding on too. They would be what made white. In other words, we would bear the same glory that is upon the Father, the Son, and the Ruach, the same glory that was once upon our foreparents, Adam and Eve, before they fell. Okay. And then the same verse, it says, their faces shone like snow, or shine like snow. That's that light, y'all. That light so clear, pure. And the reason why that light is so clear and pure, because they are in righteousness. There's no sin, there's no transgressions upon them. The next verse we're going to write is verse 10. Verse 10. So this was verse 1. Now we're going to verse 10. Verse 10 says this, y'all. And with them, the head of days. So we know who the head of days. I don't know. Go ahead and put in parentheses. See, verse 14. Found who are head of days. Let me take this underline off. So, and with them, the head of days, his head white and pure as wool. And what the wool represent? The sheep, right? Okay. And his raiment indescribable. So there's no words for what Enoch saw. But whatever he saw, y'all, I bet it was beautiful. Okay. So some keyword here. We're gonna underline and highlight head of days. That should remind you of what's in Daniel. And let me go ahead and pull that scripture for you, because he's known as the Ancient of Days. As you see, as we're going through these notes, what the Father's showing you is that this is how we should be when we get in His Word. We should be connecting the dots. We're becoming the whole volume of the book. This is why it's so important to master that 1611, and then you can see the big picture. So let me go to the book of Daniel. And you'll find it in Daniel chapter 7, verse 9. In Daniel chapter 7, verse 9, it addressed him as the Ancient of Days. Okay, so let me read this unto you. Daniel chapter 7, verse 9 said, I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garments was white as snow. So we know what white as snow means. That means it illuminated, it shone very bright. And the hair of his head like the pure wool. So this verse right here is going in along with Daniel chapter 7, verse 9. So his head was like wool. So it looks just like sheep hair or sheep wool, very pure and white in color. Okay. His throne was like the fiery flame, which makes sense because he got his angels, his children, walking on flames of fire. All right. Okay. And his wheels as burning fire. Hallelujah. Do y'all see this? Everything's connecting to help us understand these heavenly things. Uh-huh. Okay. So here we got head white and pure as wool. And as we see in verse 1 is going to expound on what that whiteness is. That means it was shining very bright. And the color, or you want to put color to this, the color of that brightness, how can I describe this? It's like seeing a white cotton ball illuminated with light. That's the best way I can describe it. It's like seeing a white cotton ball illuminated with light. And that whiteness is so pure and clean. Again, showing you his righteousness, showing you that he's not of sin. Okay. Showing you he is of good. He's not of evil. Okay. Showing you there's no darkness in him. Okay. So there we go to add that to our collection. Another thing we want, I did add the definition of tall to our notes so that that way you have it. Okay. And I am going to make some stuff in red and noticeable because tall is also let us know that when the 400 years of Zion come to their fullness, the 400 years of the Israelite captivity in America, the whore that sits upon the beast, when that comes to that end, y'all, we are now entering into the time where things gonna begin to speed up to bring forth that is which it's to be. Okay, things are gonna start to speed up to bring forth the kingdom of heaven. Y'all, this is deep. Okay, another thing I'm gonna underline is the X and the cross. And covenant. Also taught us, let us know that we are in the end days. We are in this last period of time. We are that blessed generation that see the one that will come in the name of Yahuwah, for Yahusha HaMashiach bear or has his father name within his name. Okay? That's something to check out when you have some time. And the last thing is, I want to make clear what we see in the book of Revelation, chapter 1. Chapter 1, I'm going to say 1, chapter 1, verses 12 through, and I want to change this text to yellow. Forgive me, y'all. I see something. I just can't do it while we're here. Let's see what verses we got. To 15. So when we look at verses 12 through 15, it is giving us the image of Adam, right? I need to put divine image of Adam. Let you know this is the image of Adam before the fall. Because remember, Yahusha HaMashiach is a son of Adam. He is also known as the second Adam. And when he fulfilled what was written by the prophets, he showed us what we shall become in the regeneration. So what we see in Revelation chapter 1 is showing us what the bride and the 144,000 will become. Okay? Come from the earth, come from the breath, and we come from his spirit. So the three combined will be in one vessel. And we will be connected to the Godhead, spiritually connected to him, to the Father, who is above all, to the Son, and to the Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit. Okay? That's what Revelation 1 is showing. All this fancy terminology that everybody's giving y'all, I'm like this. I like to speak straight. I want to make it clear. That's what it's showing you. It's showing you what our foreparents looked like in Genesis 1 before they fell. Because Messiah too has a body. Yep, many people forget about that. He also too has an earthly body that is up in the heavens. And the saints who arose with him also resurrected in body, soul, and spirit. How do we know? Matthew 28 will confirm it. The book of Nicodemus, known as the Acts of Pontius Pilate, will confirm it. Oh, yeah. So when we look at them doing like genetic testing or DNA testing on body remains, that's not dealing with the snakes. I mean, that's not dealing with the saints. They are up in heaven. Those who resurrected with the Messiah, remember, they represent the barley harvest. Okay? That group that resurrected with him, their body, soul, and spirit are up in the heavens above. Now, those who remain after them, we are waiting for our day to come to be regenerated like them. This is why Revelations chapter 20 talks about the first resurrection. The first resurrection is dealing when the Messiah come back to enforce his Father kingdom upon the earth. He has to prepare the way. We're going to reign with him. So those who met the cut based on their heart, their faith, and their words, those in the grave will be resurrected in body, soul, and spirits. And those who are alive at that appointed time, our bodies too will be changed in the twinkling of an eye. Okay, and we will be like them, and we will have crowns upon our heads, and we have what the palms in our right hand, because we're going to reign with the Messiah and get this earth in check and put it back into righteousness. And once that part is fulfilled, which is going to be 1,000 years, then our Father in heaven can come with the new Jerusalem, and then he's going to judge angel and mankind. And this is where we have the eternal death to come, which is the second death, they call it. Okay. Sheol, hell, is the first death. All right. Another thing that bothered me before we get into looking at the wood that the ark of the burnt offering was made of is looking at the menorah with the candlesticks. He want me to let you know that the menorah, before that, I need to give you examples of those who also bear that illumination as examples unto us. So, example of this. So, examples of those who bear this illumination. It says shining are the following. Noah. Go back and read. Remember, it said white and redder than a blossom rose. Go back and read. Next one was Moshe, Moses. Okay. Next one that in the renewed marriage was Yahusha HaMashiach. Okay. You got 3 witnesses: Noah, Moses, and Yahusha HaMashiach. Now for the menorah, what's that above? Another thing that's coming to my mind now as I go to the menorah, Father, is to remind you about the reason why Yahusha is called the Messiah, the anointed one, because he come in the fullness of Yah. In other words, he has the 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of Yahuwah. That's listed in Isaiah 11. So he comes in the full power of Yah. That's why he's called the anointed one. Okay. So when we look at the menorah, it represents these following things. Bride, which was with the 7 churches, right? And the 7 churches also has a spiritual meaning too. It has a physical meaning of those 7 churches that was established, what they call in Asia, and I think that's Turkey today. But go back and read those churches' characteristics because it's a spiritual meaning to the churches of today, which is the bride. Then it also, let me make this small. I want this all on one line. Then we have I'm gonna say, if I say house of Judah, people not understand what I'm saying. So I say kingdom of Judah, which is Yahudah, and then we have the kingdom of Israel, which is that northern kingdom. So this I'm gonna put here northern, so people know about the 2 sticks. So we day is coming where the 2 sticks will no longer be separated, but there will be one kingdom under the reign of what? The King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, who is Yahusha HaMashiach. Okay. And we know that Judah, I'm just gonna put a little S right now, is dealing with southern. Okay. And each kingdom, when you read the like books of like Nehemiah, it's another one. Nehemiah and I want to say Ezra books, you will learn there was a representation of each of the tribes. Okay, but when Northern Kingdom, which is Samaria, went into captivity under the Assyrians, you have the remnant of the Northern Kingdom that was left, and you can see that in King Hezekiah writings. Okay, that came under the reign of the Southern Kingdom. But when you go back in history, how it started out when the two split, the southern kingdom, which is the kingdom of Judah, was only given one tribe, that was Benjamin. Later on, the tribe of Levi came to join them because the northern kingdom, Israel, was going off. They was into idolatry. So later on, the Levites came to join them. So it's good to go back in that foundation to get the history of things, but be aware that you can find a representation of all the 12 tribes into each kingdom. Okay, so that's why it's good to go back in those books and to read those in the details. All right. Also in the new covenant, you can see Anna the prophetess, she was of the tribe of Asher. So like I said, that's proof to give you understanding of these things. All right, I think since we got that done, now we can go into the Shipton wood. All right, take a good look at this picture. Note I use the words melon. Remember, melon gives color. Okay, that was the gift from the Most High upon all His creations. Okay, that was the gift that He gave to Adam because Adam was made in their image. So today we're going to go to the Strong Concordance. And in the Strong Concordance, we're going to go to the book of Exodus. Go to our notes. Our notes. We're going to Exodus 27. And we're going to click on tools for the part that has the word shittim wood. And we're going to reference number of 87848. And you can see that this type of wood is also in reference to this type of tree here. So when you do a Google search, you will see this tree name pop up. I'm not going to try to say this word, y'all. I'm going to mess it up. But here, what's interesting thing I found out. If you scroll down, and we're going to read the Jesenius Hebrew Chaldee Lexicon. What it say about this particular type of wood? It gives you the different names of the trees that are associated with this type of wood, and it's noted that it's an ancient type of tree. Okay, it's of old. It also going to say it is a large tree growing in Egypt and Arabia, having the bark covered with black thorns, from which gum Arabic exudes. It has blackish pods, which germ, I cannot pronounce this word right here. It also going to say wood is very hard. Now this is very important. Now we begin to understand why our Father chose this type of wood to construct or to make the ark, not ark, to make the altar out of. Okay, so it's very hard. This is very important to know. And when it grows old, it resembles ebony. Y'all want to make a note of that. We're going to put that in our notes. And it's reference to Isaiah chapter 41, verse 19. And also it makes references about the ebony in the other foreign sources. That's listed here. Okay. Then as you go down, in reference to that type of wood that's connected to shittim, it lists the scriptures that is associated with this word, such as Exodus chapter 25, verse 5, verse 10, and verse 13. Exodus chapter 26, verse 26. And Exodus chapter 27, verse 1 and verse 6. Now, as far as shittim, that when you do a word search in the Bible, you will also see it as a noun, as pertaining of a valley in the land of the Moabites on the borders, on the borders of Palestine. And you can find it in Numbers chapter 25, verse 1, Joshua chapter 2, verse 1, chapter 3, verse 1, Michael chapter 6, verse 5. As far as the valley of that word, it can be found in Joel chapter 4, verse 18. So let's go back to our notes to write this down before we get into the word ebony. Ebony, okay? So it said that the wood is very hard, very hard. So that's the characteristic we're going to list in our notes. Next characteristic, we're going to list in our notes that it says that when it grows old, it resembles ebony. So it looks like ebony, y'all. And we're going to write down that scripture, Isaiah, it was 41 verse something. And then we go ahead and write down the reference number in Hebrew, H7848. So it's 41 verse 19. And let me open up the 1611. And this would be a good thing to come back and print out, because they do give you an option to print. So you have this in your note collection. Okay. So I'm going to close this tab, because when I have 10 tabs open, that's when things want to mess up. Okay. So next, before I go there, let me type in the word ebony so we can get that definition. So according to Google, ebony means the following. As a name, it means heavy, blackish, or very dark brown timber from a mainly tropical tree. The second definition of ebony, a tree of tropical and warm temperate regions which produce ebony. That's not but what melon, y'all. Melon. I believe I may go to the et, what you call it? How you say it? I used to can say it, y'all. It breaks down the history of the word, where the word come from. But this ain't nothing but melon, y'all, or what we talked about yesterday. Okay. But let's copy and paste this definition, okay, in our notes. And it makes sense with this type of tree, because when we look at the land of Israel, it's in a desert-like area. You know, the temperature is kind of hot over there. So let us put this in our notes. As a noun. And the word we want to underline here, blackish or very dark brown timber. And notice here, type of tree that will grow what? Warm temperature regions that produce ebony. Okay. Now we begin to understand why the Father is putting this in the altar of burnt offerings, the same way he put melon into Adam is the same thing, that he's showing us into a physical representation in the altar of the burnt offerings, because it gonna give you an analogy to the Messiah. Okay, that goes in hand with Revelation 1. This is where the brass would come in. Okay, let me get that link so we have it as a reference in our notes. Become a good church. Okay, so now that we got that one out of the way, now let's go to what was the next thing I said we'll go to? Etymology. That's the word I'm trying to say, y'all. On this word. Okay. I don't want hue, but it's gonna show hue, because we're not dealing with that word today, but that's part of the word human. We look at the word ebony. Ebony is dark, hard wood, favored for carving, music instruments, perhaps an extended form of Middle English that comes from this Middle English word known as Avon, or from he beneath late 14th century. Perhaps a Middle English misreading of Latin, and this Latin word is he beninus, which means of ebony. From the Greek word ebinos, from ebinos, which translates to ebony, probably from the Egyptian word of HBNJ, or another Semitic source. And we know Semitic is tied to what? The lineage of Shem, and in the lineage of Shem are what? The children of Israel. But let's keep going. Figurative, used to suggest intense blackness. So ebony is often associated with the word blackness, which is from the 1620s. As an adjective, as an adjective of ebony, made of ebony, from 1590s, in reference to skin color Africans by 1813. So you know the children of Israel are often referenced as Africans, but we know that the land of Africa, which is a continent, has many countries, and it has many tribes and many nations. But often the children of Israel are referenced to this word, Africans, because you know what that landmass name is today. Okay. But notice here, I want to read this again. In reference to skin color of Africans by 1813. So we often will be called what? Ebony. Kind of remind me of why it relates to the language that we're speaking today, when they say that we want to study their ebonics. Ebonics. So we see where all this is coming from. Everything is relating, right? Now, according to the French word ebene, oh high, German would say ebenus, coming from the German word ebenholz, or from Latin ebenus. So basically, this is confirming that ebony is in relation to melon, and melon, which pertains to those who are melanated. We have skin pigmentation of brown or black. Okay. As I was saying before, do you see how they got ebonics under ebony? Like, where, things that kind of relate to the search. That's kind of interesting. Very interesting. Now here, Ebon. Let's read this one. Ebon, early 15th century. Okay. Ebony wood, ebony tree, from Old French ebony, or directly from Latin ebenus, see ebony, as an adjective. So an adjective is like to describe something, right? Made of ebony from 1590s. Figurative sense of dark black is from 1590s. Okay. In some cases, a poetic shortening of ebony. All right. And let me go ahead and read Ebonics right here. Ebonics, a noun. African Americans Vernacular English, 1975, as title of a book edited by U.S. Professor Robert L. Williams, who lived from 1930 to 2020. Oh, yeah, 1930 to 2020, who is said to have coined the word as a blend of ebony and phonics. So that's how that word was put together. It came from the word ebony and phonics. Like I said, this is a good thing. I'm going to put that link in our notes. But as you see, it's dealing with melon. Melon. Okay. That's something you can have in your spare time to look up. Okay. So what we see here, the ebony, based on these two things, is related to melon. That's another word I was thinking about too. Or or those who are melanated. I should not say related, or I should say ebony is often in reference to melon. That's what that basically is. Pigmentation of brown or black. Now we see why the Father chose this wood based on two things, because of its hardness. So it can endure a lot. It can take a lot. And you can see how this all relates to the new covenant when we look at the scriptures that talks about we should what bear the cross. Okay. So it can endure a lot. That means it can overcome the trials and tribulations. It can uh, withhold or withstand fire. Think about it. This thing is made up of wood and brass. Okay. All right. Um, the next attribute of it, that it has melon in it. And when you study melon, you begin to see the benefits of melon. Melon helps us to be able to endure the elements, such as the sun, the weather, things like that. Also, when I look at brass, because we know brass is also uh, related to melon. And what I mean, because of the color of it, you look at the two composition of brass, and I wrote that down. I know right here that brass is made up of copper and zinc. And you know what popped in my mind, y'all, when I looked at the zinc, when this virus came out, one of the things they told us to take was the zinc. But another thing that was told unto us that we need to go out and get some sun. And because we have melon, um, that melon help us to process the I want to say energy, but also the essentials that we get from the sun, because we know we need sun to make vitamin D, but we also know that by being in the sun, it also helps to strengthen our immune system. Do y'all see where we're going with this now? Also, when we look at copper, I know copper is a very expensive metal, and it's often used in a lot of electrical appliances. because it conducts electricity, which is what, like lightning, which is what light, very well. Okay. See that, King Adam? I see that. I got to show y'all King Adam comment. I got to show you. He said, I've been telling people that for years. So this is why, for those, because a lot of us have melanin, whether it's the lightest to the darkest, you do not want to put that gift away. The Creator gave it unto you for a reason. Again, because they have it too, so we should have it. hmm Again, I would say this again for somebody who's new who's watching this video. There is melanin in space. Yes, there is melanin in the water, because yesterday I talked about how water is made from the light and the darkness. So you can read about that. Okay. All right. Yeah. There is melanin in the trees, in the grass. It's everywhere. Everywhere. Okay. Now, the lighter the color, the less amount of melanin. All right. And we know from, I guess, how can I say, I don't know what subject this would fall under. I guess chemistry. We know that if we take all the colors of the earth, when I say all the colors, let me correct myself. If we take all the colors of the crayon, or the corrodum, whatever, what I'm trying to say, and we mix them all together, you'll get one color, which is black. See? So by learning this, we're getting to tap into spiritual things about this melanin, and why our Father gave it to us. Again, melanin, or to be melanated, is an excellent conductor of light, and it can withstand the heat that comes from the light, that way you won't burn up. That way you won't catch on fire. Okay? Also, what we're learning about this, y'all, I mean, this is a great study. Um, with melanin, um, is a shield of protection for you. Okay? Again, it goes back to Genesis 1. We're made in their image. For we are what? The son of God. So we look as they look. This is why you see the angels will have that upon them in Ezekiel chapter 1. And also with the man that was given to read in Ezekiel chapter 40, he also had what? Melanin. That's why the word brass was associated with him. Okay? Something to think about here. Now, I know there are different tones of brass. You can go from the darkest to the lightest. But what I'm saying to you, the word brass is listed or given unto us to let us know that that being is melanated. Okay? And the reason why, because the more melanin one has, or put like this, the darker the melanin is, the better the one can conduct the light, and can endure the light. Right? See what else? Now we're gonna go look at the cross, because we're in the Exodus 27. Exodus 27. It says that these two staves that was made, that comes from shittim wood, right? And they was put on the side of this altar. And in verse 7, it says here that these two staves that are put on the sides of the altar are there to bear the altar. Now that word bear send a like a signal to me about what was written in the gospel about with bearing the cross. So now let us go there. We're gonna go back to the strong concordance. Also, what the Israelites look like. Okay. Yeah, I gave y'all the characteristics yesterday. Again, we resemble what I look like, what our Father looked like in heaven. Okay. Everything's connected. But it's not only just dealing with the physical things, But now we'll tap into the spiritual things too. Remember, the physical going hand with the spiritual, just as the heaven and the earth go in hand with each other. The two bear witness towards each other. Okay? So somebody say, we don't have proof for what the Messiah looked like, that's not true. If they say we don't have proof what the Israelites look like, that's not true. We have proof from the past and we have proof in the present. And according to the prophets, we have proof in those future prophecies. It's showing you who they look like, it's showing you their characteristics. It can be proven. Again, this is about truth. Okay, no more lies. Okay, sis say I'm starting to break up. Let me say this again. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, sis? Let me know if you okay, that she said that's better. Okay. The reason why we doing that y'all break up is the reason why we have to learn these things because the physical go in hand with the spiritual, just as the heavens go in hand with the earth. So this is about truth. So by learning the physical things, by knowing what the Israelites look like, what the Messiah looked like, what our Father in heaven looked like, there's proof. Okay, it can be confirmed in the past, in the present, and also in the future by looking at the prophets' prophecies. Everything's connecting together. So when someone say it cannot be proven, that is a lie. That's why the Father gave us Torah. It can be proven in Torah by looking at the righteous acts. And since you just came on, you definitely want to read First Enoch chapter 71. We read that this morning, but it relates to a study that you're doing on First Enoch chapter 71. Okay. Now we're gonna look at the cross because these two, there was two staves made, y'all. Let me show you the picture. Let me see, can I find that picture? These two staves was made that was put on the side of the altar, right? It was done that for a reason. It was to remind us of these scriptures. Let us get in. So we start at Matthew chapter 10, verse 38. For this verse says, I want to higher so y'all can see the context of this verse because that's what the danger of, because we have to bear the ark. And when we bearing, not the ark, sorry, y'all, when we bearing the altar, what we're saying is we are bearing Yahusha HaMashiach. We are in covenant with him. Okay. So when we look at Matthew chapter 10, verse 38, let's read up a little higher. The Messiah says this: He that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. Do y'all hear that? This is very important because this is dealing with the worldly things now. Okay. So if we love our father and mother more than the Messiah, we are not worthy to be under him, to follow him, to be in covenant with him. Right? Remember, we're married to him. He also going to say, and he that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. Again, he's talking about the worldly things. He's talking about the things that would keep you from him. Remember, this is about spirit. This is about the one who live in your belly. He is in the midst of your body. And the reason why he's saying that, there's going to be come a time you're going to have to choose your family over him. You're going to have to make a choice. It's either him or your family. Because as we are walking in him, okay, as we are holding him inside of us, we're bearing him inside of us. He is showing us how to live our life in this world of darkness. So we won't do the same like everybody else. And because we won't do the same like everybody else, even our family, our friends, the strangers, etc., will come against us. That is how it is in this world of darkness. The world of darkness want us to do as they do. But because we are the children of the light, and because we stick out like a sore thumb, because we're shining bright in this world of darkness, they cannot bear the light, they cannot take it. Therefore, they want to what? I say consume. They want to darken the light to it's nothing because they want you to be like them. So this is what the Messiah is talking about. The day is going to come. You're going to have to choose between whatever it is. In other words, you have to choose between him and whatever it is. It could be your family again. It could be your job. It can be your worldly possession. These are all the things of the world. You're going to have to make a choice one day. Okay. And again, remember, the reason why you have to make a choice, because we choose to be in covenant with the Lamb. We are married with the Lamb. Therefore, we choose to follow the Lamb ways and his instructions that come from heaven above, which come from the Father. Okay? That's right. But we're going to pray over it. In the name of Yahusha HaMashiach, I bind that what needs to be bind, and I loose that what needs to be loose. Let this truth go forth. Let your children hear this truth this morning. Let it be so in the name of Yahusha HaMashiach. Okay? All right. In verse 10, verse 38, the Messiah go on to say, and he that taketh not his cross, the Messiah talking about you got to take up his cross. Okay, we're gonna learn more about this as we go through. And follow after me is not worthy of me. So if you can't take up his cross, and you understand what this cross is, okay? And if you cannot follow after him, then you are not worthy to receive him. In other words, you're not worthy for him to live in your belly. You're not worthy of him to be a lamp unto your feet. You're not worthy for him to be the light of your body or the eye of your body, because you're going to choose the world over him. You're going to choose the family over him. Okay. Let's go to another verse. Matthew 16, verse 24. Let's read that. Matthew 16, verse 24. For it says, then said Yahusha unto his disciples, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. Now we have already expound on about denying yourself. It goes to you being what? That living sacrifice. For you to be what? That daily sacrifice now. Denying yourself, that means denying yourself from the delights of this world. Families, jobs, wealth, power, etc. In other words, you're going to decrease so he can increase. Just like what John the Baptist did. You're going to what? Decrease so he can increase. The one I'm talking about, so the one who live in you can increase. So the light can shine in the world. He also going to say, after you deny yourself, you're going to take up this cross. Why are you going to take up the cross? We're going to go more in deep into that. Something has to be crucified. You got to bear that cross. Okay? And follow me. For whosoever will save his life shall lose it. And whosoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it. For what is a man profited if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? If you know the work for your soul comes from what? The breath. And the breath comes from the Father. Your soul is worth more than anything in this world. But people are selling out for breadcrumbs. For the next verse says that, for the Son of Man shall come in the glory of his Father with his angels. Then he shall reward every man according to his works. So he's telling you, do not sell out for the breadcrumbs. He got something way more better than what this world has to offer you. Okay? Something to meditate on here. But let's go back to verse 25. He said, whosoever shall save his life shall lose it, and whosoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it. For example, when you take up the cross, when you bear his cross, you're going to crucify yourself in the same way he was crucified. I'm talking about spiritual now. That means putting an end to the things of the flesh. Okay? You're going to put an end to that. So that way your spirit man in you, that was there in the beginning, that was lost, but now it's restored unto you. So when you crucify your flesh, then you shall be revived. Your spirit man shall be revived. It shall live again in you. Okay? And when you do that, you will gain life. But those who choose not to crucify their flesh, that means they don't choose to take up the cross, that means to go in covenant with the Messiah. Remember the cross, remember Tar. Those who choose not to join themselves with the Messiah is going to lose their life because they're not going to have the spirit man in them. Their spirit man going to be dead, and their flesh is going to rise up, and then they're going to have a reprobate mind, which shall lead them to what? To the eternal death. That's what that verse is saying. Can y'all hear me? I want you to really hear what I'm saying on this. Let's go back to the note. Matthew 16, 24 to 28. We read Matthew 10, I think it was 38, then 24, 16. Go back to the thing. I want y'all to meditate on this. I want you to see this. 24 to 28. You got to look at that Hebrew letter Tav. That Hebrew letter Tav. We got to look at y'all. So you can really understand what these verses are saying unto us. Let's go back over here. Tav. When we take his cross upon us, this is a spiritual cross. Okay? And the spiritual cross, that means we go in covenant with him. That's what the cross is doing. The cross, which is a mark, a sign, or X, or a cross, what it means that we will go in covenant with him. We will be enjoined with the Messiah. Okay? We will be owned by him. We will be sealed by him. And because we do that, we will now become the walking Torah. In other words, that manifests in the heart and the belly will soon manifest in the physical. We will begin to live by his righteousness, such as we would know how to eat in righteousness. We would know how to dress in righteousness. We would know how to talk in righteousness, because the Father said, be ye holy, for I am holy. So keep your conversation holy. Do you see where I'm going with this? We would know how to love our neighbor in righteousness. And we would know how to love the Most High Yah in righteousness with everything we got. That's what he means. Come and take my cross upon you. Let me read more scripture so we can get more clear. He's given us a physical example in the gospel. Y'all remember Simon? And Simon felt compelled to bear his cross. So Simon was showing us the same way he bear the cross of the Messiah is the same way for us. That's a physical example. So you get some spare time, read about Simon and what he did for the Messiah. Okay. I'm going to read Mark chapter 10, verse 21. Then Yahusha, beholding him, loved him, and said unto him, one thing thou lackest. Go thy way, sell whatsoever thou hast, and give to the poor, and thou shalt have treasure in heaven. And come, take up the cross and follow me. That reminds me of the young man was saying, oh, what can I do to have eternal life? But there is a reason why the Messiah asked him to do those things, and that was to forsake the things of the world. When you do that, y'all, I'm a living witness of this because it has happened to me. I went through a Job, and he stripped me of everything that I had in my life. And I'm not talking just physical possessions. I'm talking about family and friends. Oh yeah. Okay. When he do that, he gets your attention and your mind is clear. And you begin to see what he see and hear what he hears. And then you allow the potter to mold and shape you into the creation that he made you to be. And then you learn how to let go the things of this world, like those things that used to have a hold on you so bad. But when he do this to you, when he put you through a Job, you can walk away from it very easy and be like Lot. Do not look back. Okay? That's why the Messiah asked that young man to do that. And when we do that, y'all, we will have great treasure in heaven. So the great treasure in heaven will be ours when he bring the new Jerusalem to the earth, and when he bring his kingdom to the earth. And that's when we're going to get our reward. That's what we're going to be recompensate with. But I'm telling y'all, the greatest treasure is him. The greatest treasure is to live in his house, to be in his presence. That's the greatest treasure. Okay? So in order to accomplish that goal, we have to take up the cross, meaning that whatever the Messiah went through, we shall go through. We too shall be what? Go through trials and tribulation. We too shall be what? Afflicted. So that's what else the cross bring. Okay? But everything is for a reason. All right, let us keep going. Verse Luke chapter 14. I should put down, well, I'm gonna put in our notes to look at Simon. To look at Simon the Syrian. Okay, so that's what you can do in your spare time. But look at let's read Luke chapter 9, verse 3. This is dealing with the daily part. And he said to them all, if any man would come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross daily, and follow me. So we are to take up this cross daily, just like being the daily sacrifice. We are to take up this cross daily. It's very important. It was verse 20. And then we're supposed to look up at the scriptures pertaining to Simon. Y'all had to bear with me that word. The Syrian. That's something you can do in your spare time. That is a physical example to understand the spiritual example that takes upon us now. Before I go into Luke chapter 9, let's read a couple more other verses. It says in Luke chapter 14, verse 27, he goes on to say, whosoever do not bear his cross and come after me cannot be my disciple. So this is a must requirement for us, y'all. Okay? Cross represent means to go in covenant with him. Cross represent means to crucify the flesh, to put it into the flesh so your spirit man can live again in you. So let's go to Luke chapter 9. Let's see this read. So what we read in the earlier verses in Matthew is the same here, but this is a verse I want us to look at, verse 26. Notice what he said here. So not only do we take up this cross daily and follow him and deny ourselves, but look what he says here. Let me read up higher. We'll start at 25. For what is a man advantage if he gain the whole world and lose himself or be cast away? So we ought to expound on that. You're not gaining anything. What these people are getting, I call them peanuts, crumbs. It's a trick of the devil. Father's now reminding me to tell you, go back and look at how Satan tempted the Messiah. The same thing he did to the Messiah, it's the same he's doing now. He's making a lot of false promises. Promises that he cannot keep for a eternal basis. They only short term, y'all. Okay. So in Luke chapter 9, verse 26, the Messiah says this, for whosoever shall be ashamed of me and of my words, of him shall the Son of Man, the son of Adam, be ashamed, when he shall come in his own glory, in his Father's, and of the holy angels. Okay? But I tell you of a truth, there be some standing here which shall not taste of death till they see the kingdom of Yah. Okay? And that glory is also listed in Luke chapter 9. Okay? The transfiguration. You look at that. Okay? That will also go in hand for what we talked about early in this lesson. So you probably want to read Luke chapter 9. So let us put this in the notes. So we was in Luke chapter 9, starting with verse 23 and go down to verse 27. And then I'm going to put over here what we were talking about, the illumination. And just see if there's any more before we go to next step. I'll show you about crucifying your flesh. So as you see here, we are not to wear a physical cross, but we are to bear the cross in a spiritual way, based on these verses, in a spiritual way. Okay. So now we're going to the book of Romans. So bear with me, because the book of Romans is going to expound on what the bearing the cross do for one when they take upon it. Okay. Let me get my Bible. We're going to the book of Romans, y'all. Yep. Book of Romans chapter 6. That's where we're going at next. Romans chapter 6. We're going to the 611 Bible, and we're going to see what this bearing the cross does for us. Okay. Remember, we follow the example, not in the physical way. I don't want nobody to do nothing foolish. Okay. Remember, these are spiritual things now. As Messiah said, we shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth, meaning that once you receive him, he will live in you. And he is a spirit, and he is the spirit of truth. Father's telling me to tell you to read John chapter 6, because it was funny, because he's giving an example when I'm talking about when people think, when people take things literal. When he said that you would eat of my body, where eat of my body and drink of my blood, his disciples actually thought he was literally speaking of drinking his blood and eating his flesh, but he wasn't talking about that. So that's what I'm talking about. When you take upon the cross upon you, it is in a spiritual aspect. So now we're going to the book of Romans, chapter 6, in this 16:11. Romans chapter 6, we're going to read the chapter summary, for it says, oh, let me put this link in the box for y'all so those who want to follow along. Romans chapter 6. We may not live in sin, for we are dead unto it, as appeareth by our baptism. Let not sin reign any more, because we have yielded ourselves to the service of righteousness. And for that dead is the wages, and for that death is the wages of sin. Okay. Verse 1. What shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin, that grace may abound? Yah forbid. Do y'all hear that? So he don't want us to keep sinning just because we under grace, right? How shall we that are dead to sin live anymore? So again, that's what the cross is going to do. It's going to put what? It's going to put an end to sin. It's going to crucify the flesh. Okay. I'll read that question again. How shall we that are dead to sin, so we are dead to sin now, live any longer therein? So how are we going to live? Right? Verse 3. Know ye not that so many of us as was baptized into Yahusha HaMashiach the Messiah were baptized into his death? Do y'all see this? All right, it's going to expound more. Therefore, we are buried with him by baptism into death. So now you see the purpose of the water baptism. Okay. Therefore, we are buried with him by baptism into death, that like as Messiah was raised up from the dead by the glory of the Father, even so we also shall walk in the newness of life. It's going to expound on that, what it means, that how we're going to walk in the newness of life by partaking in the water baptism, by partaking in bearing the cross, his cross upon you. Okay. Verse 5. For if we have been planted together in the likeness of his death, we shall also be in the likeness of his resurrection, saying that what he did shall take place upon us, but more in the spiritual aspect. Okay? Like Messiah, like us. We're going to be just like him, but we're operating in spirit. Okay. Verse 6. Knowing this, that our old man is crucified with him. Do y'all see this? This is the connection. Our old man is crucified with him. Okay? That the body of sin might be destroyed, that henceforth we should not serve sin. For he that is dead is free from sin. So what the Messiah did when we enter into the renewed marriage, he is correcting the first Adam mistake. Because when the first Adam and Eve, ate of the tree of knowledge, good and life, it caused a change in the body. And that change in the body brought a strife within. The strife within, it brought forth the battle between choosing to do good, choosing to do good or evil. That's the inner strife. That's the change. And because of that change, what happened was with most of the children of Adam, because of that strife within, often even often evil overcame it. Okay? Often evil overcame it. That's why in the first judgment, the Father had to do something, because evil was coming on, was becoming out of control. Excuse my tongue, y'all. But evil was becoming out of control. So he had to get the world back in check again, to so that way righteousness can prevail. Okay? That's why the flood had to come. All right. But when we enter into the renewed covenant, what the Messiah does for us, for those who join themselves unto him, he give us his spirit to help us to overcome the flesh, putting an end to sin. Okay. That's what he does. He's restoring what was lost, because when you come in the whole writing book, you know the house, the temple cannot be defiled. If it's defiled, then the spirit can't remain in, or the Father's spirit cannot live in a defiled house, in a messy house, in a dirty house. Okay? Verse 8. Now, if we be dead with Messiah, that means we follow the same thing he did on that cross. We're going to crucify this flesh, right? We believe that we shall also live with him. This is where the faith come in. Seeing without, believing without seeing. Okay? And the reason why we believe, because we read the testimony of the Messiah. We saw what he did, and we believed in that. Okay? Knowing that the Messiah, being raised from the dead, died no more, Death have no dominion over him. So the second Adam triumphed death. Now the first Adam was made to be eternal, but because of his sin, because of the partaking of the eating of that forbidding fruit, he brought death in. And when he brought death in, he gave dominion to Satan, who is the angel of what? Of death and destruction. Okay. Verse 10. For in that he died unto sin once. So this is only one time. His crucifixion, his death accomplished all, how can I say this? It don't have to be done over and over. It sufficed the Father. It gave the ultimate sacrifice to cover all things, where it did not have to be repeated. And now because of him, this is why we now become the daily sacrifice. Through him, we are able to take his cross upon us daily, but in spirit and in truth. For in that he died unto sin once, but in that he lived unto YAHUAH. Likewise, reckon ye also yourselves to be dead indeed unto sin. So the same unto him is the same unto us. We're going to be what? Dead unto sin. But and by doing that, we too shall what? Be alive unto YAHUAH. Why? Through Yahusha the Messiah, our Adonai. That's why. He revived us. What did he revive? He revived the spirit man that is in your belly, that we lost from the beginning. Genesis 6:3. He said that my spirit shall not always strive with man for his flesh. The flesh was the thing that we became, the change. And because of the inner strife within us, evil often overprevail it. So therefore, the spirit of Yah cannot live in a sinful house, in a defiled house. That's what the Messiah restored back unto us. Okay. Verse 12. Let not sin reign therefore in your mortal body, that ye should obey it in the lusts thereof. See, y'all hear this? Let not sin reign therefore in your mortal body. So we know our body has not been changed yet. Okay, so it's warning us, do not let sin rise up in it again. And if we do, notice what's going to happen. If we let it rise up again in our mortal body, we're going to obey it and bring forth the lust, bring forth what the flesh wants, what the flesh craves, what the flesh desire, what the flesh is lusting after. Okay, verse 13. Neither yield ye your members as instruments of unrighteousness unto sin, but yield yourselves unto YAHUAH as those that are alive from the dead, and your members as instruments of righteousness unto YAHUAH. So again, the living word is going to show you how to keep covenant in the fourth beast kingdom, which is Rome under Edom rule. He's going to show you. He's going to show you how to be the walking Torah, which is what? Instructions from the Father from the heaven above. Verse 14. For sin shall not have dominion over you. Do y'all hear that? Why is sin not going to have dominion over us? It is because of that Holy One who lives in our belly. He's given us the power to overcome it. He set the example. Go back and read about his life when he walked upon this earth. Okay? But ye have obeyed from the heart, O Lord. Ye have obeyed from the heart that form of doctrine which was delivered you. Let me read this again. But Yah be thanked. Okay? Did I skip a line? I'm sorry. I think I skipped a line. I sure did. Let me go back up. Yep, I skipped the line. So I read verse 13. So let me go verse 14. For sin shall not have dominion over you, For ye are not under the law, but under grace. Let me expound on that, because that's saying something deep, y'all. It said, what? Sin shall not have any power over you. For we are not under the law, but under grace. You got to read Galatians chapter 4. We're not under the old covenant as far as when one sinned and one transgressed. Usually it's death or whatever the judgment is carried out. That's what it's telling us. It's saying that we're under a renewed marriage. And under this renewed marriage, it brings forth grace. He's given us time to get it right with him. He's winking at our ignorance in Acts chapter 17. So because of grace, it has given us the time to perfect the one that's within us. How do we perfect the one that's in us? Through what? Reading the word, meditating on the word, and fasting. And when we do those three things, they begin to manifest in our heart. And when they begin to manifest in our heart, it brings forth what? It in the physical. That's what it means. Because in the old marriage, when one sinned or transgressed, most of the time, the judgment was death. So you didn't get another chance. But in the renewed marriage, we have grace now. So when one falls, you are given another chance to make it right before that great and final day. Verse 16. Know ye not that to whom ye yield yourselves servants to obey, his servants ye are to whom ye obey, whether of sin unto death or obedience unto righteousness. So what it's saying here, you're going to choose who you're going to obey, because we are servants, right? Either we're going to obey Satan, who is the angel of sin unto death, or are we going to obey Yahusha HaMashiach, who is the one of obedience unto righteousness? Okay. Verse 17. But Yahuwah be thanked that ye were the servants of sin, but ye have obeyed from the heart that the form of doctrine which was delivered you, being then made free from sin, you became the servants of righteousness. Let's go back and look at 17. But Yah be thanked. He is thankful of this, the thing that his son did for us. That ye were the servants of sin, but ye have obeyed from the heart that form of doctrine which was delivered you. Hear the heart. Something that was set in you from the beginning before the fall. Okay? So that doctrine that was delivered unto us made us free from sin and made us to become the servant of righteousness. Verse 19. I speak after the matter of men, after the matter of what? Adam. Because of the infirmity of your flesh. So we know that this body right now, it is a lower vessel. It is not a divine vessel because of the change, because of the fall. For as ye have yield your members servants to uncleanness and to iniquity unto iniquity. Meditate on that. For those who say we don't have to keep the law, who have no understanding of the law. For the law is the covenant, and the covenant is Yahusha HaMashiach. Okay? Even so now, yield your members servants to righteousness and to holiness. How do we do that? We allow the Spirit, we allow the Comforter who live in our belly to show us what is holy unto the Father, to show us what is clean unto the Father. to show us what is sin, what is transgression. And the only way you're going to have an understanding of that, he's going to take you back to the foundation and walk you through it. And you're going to see how that aligned up with the new covenant. And also, he's going to tell you what has changed now, what is put on hold until that is which to come. Verse 20. For when ye were the servants of sin, ye were free from righteousness. So you can't have both. What it's saying that when we was under Satan's reign, we became servants of sin. All right. So therefore, we could not do the righteousness of Yah. Okay. So it freed us from that. It took us away from the Father's righteousness. Verse 21. What fruit have ye then in those things, whereof ye are now ashamed? For the end of those things are death. So it's saying, what are you gaining by being a servant of sin? By being a servant of Satan? What are you gaining? Are you not ashamed of that? Do you not know that when the end comes, death will come upon you? Okay. Verse 22. But now being made free from sin and become servants to Yah, ye have your fruit unto holiness, and the end everlasting life. So now that we are free from sin now, how do you become free of sin? Again, you have to receive the covenant and bear his cross. Do y'all see that? Because the cross is going to join you to him. Okay? When you do that, you are free from sin now. Okay? And we become the servants of Yah. And when we become the servants of Yah, we start to produce the fruits of righteousness, the fruits of the Spirit. And when we start doing that, we become holy unto the Father. And when we become holy unto the Father, our reward at the end will be everlasting life. Verse 23. For the wages of sin is death, but the gift of Yah is eternal life through Yahusha the Messiah, our Lord, our Adonai. I hope this chapter gave you some understanding about the cross. Here are the side notes from chapter 6. Go back and meditate on this. For now, we're beginning to see why the Father instructed the Israelites to build this altar with 2 staves to be put on each side, and why it has to be, and why the staves are used to bear it. It is to signify the same way that altar had to be lifted up or hold up. Fathers remind me, just like with Moses holding up the serpent upon the staff, the same way we have to hold up and bear Yahusha HaMashiach, means that we are shining the light that's within us. Okay? When they see us, they're not going to see us. They're going to see Yahusha HaMashiach in us. All right? So Romans chapter 6 to show the spiritual aspect of how we take fire cross, we take or bear the Messiah's cross upon us. Okay? Something to think on and meditate. Goes deep. And the last thing for today, I'm going to give y'all the measurements for the altar. In the work of Josephus, I don't remember if it's listed in the Bible, okay? But in the work of Josephus, it gives you what cubit is. A cubit is approximately 2 feet or 21 inches. So in this verse, let me go ahead and list it. I know we're going to have length, breadth is width, and height. Then I'll give y'all a picture. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can get the picture for right quick for you. Okay, I'm almost got it. It's just taking a while. Okay, I see it now. All right. Okay, let me scroll down here. Here we go. Okay, I got the picture in, so share my screen. All right, picture should be coming up. Okay, y'all know I love math. So I gave y'all the conversion of a cubit. A cubit is like 21 inches. So that's why I would say it's approximately 2 feet, because we know 2 feet is about 24 inches. So we're going to treat it as 2 feet just to keep the number simple. Okay. So let me look at my notes so I can write this down or what I have. So the length was what, 5 cubits, right? I'm just going to put big C, for that measurement. Let me look at the breadth or the width was 5 cubits. And we look at the height was 3 cubits. So when I convert this, okay, when I convert the length, I get 10 feet. Which is about, remember, I'm dealing with the 21 inches. If I convert it in inches, it's about 105 inches. But we're going to just, round it up. And that's the same with the width. So the width would be same as the length. Make this smaller. And then we will look at the height. When we convert that, we get 6 feet. Now do it in actual inches. I'm talking about the actual inches. Get about 63. But we're just gonna round it up and just treat it as 6 feet. Now looking at this picture, when I did that, y'all, it lets me know how big this altar of the burnt offerings was. So when you think about it, the altar in height wise was 6 feet, y'all. That's a man's height. 6 feet. Well, no, about 6 feet. Okay. And then when we look at the length of the square, because that's what it is, it was in the shape of a square. The length was about 10 feet, y'all. That's big. And then the width of it was 10 feet. So it was a perfect square, 10 feet all the way around. So another thing I did in math, I like to know what is the square feet, right? So to figure that out, we have to do length times width times height. So 10 times 10 times 6 is going to equal 600 square feet. You can see why we're looking at these numbers. Sis said its dimensions are mentioned in Exodus 27. Yes, but I'm converting it so y'all can. Oh, wait a minute. She said, wait a minute. Let me look at my Bible and make sure. I have to make sure I didn't miss anything. Hold on, y'all. Let me see. Trying to see where you say in 27. Yes, that's what we're looking at, sis. It's in verse 1. I just don't have the verse showing. Okay. So when I want to see what is my square footage, it'd be a total of 600 square feet. Now I want to convert that because I want to see what is my total footage. So how we did in math, and I want to see, can I do this? 600 square. Let's see here. See, can I find it? Yeah. Maybe it's under tools. No, it's got to be on the format. Let's see. I remember it's dealing with subscripts and all that other stuff. In the text. Superscript, that's what I want. 600 square. And then we to I think I increased the font size. I check. Okay, click on that. So if I do 600 square, y'all, that's basically taking 600 times 600. And when I do that, this is what you're going to get. Total. This is done with total. We're going to do this number now, and then we probably come back. I don't know when, but this number here is significant because when I see 360 in it, it reminds me of a circle, y'all. It reminds me of completion. When you look at a circle and you look at degrees, okay? But that's something to have in our notes, okay? So that way you can get an idea how big this thing was, y'all. This thing was big. So going back to a picture, you got a lot of people got to carry this. This ain't no joke. So there you see why I was saying about it reminds me of how you have to carry the Messiah cross. Because y'all, when we all decide to give our life over to the Messiah, girl, well, not girl, y'all, trouble do come by our way. I mean, we get hit hard, right? But because of the qualities in the Messiah that's within us, we take on the same attributes. It Because of that, we become stronger through each affliction, through each trial, through the fire and everything. And when we come out, we're gonna be like the gold that is let me go back to my sheets. So I can use the right word. We're gonna be like refined as silver and purified. I think it's purified. Okay, we're gonna come out through that fire as refined as silver and tried as gold. So we look at the altar of the burnt offering, y'all. That thing was big, very big, 10 feet wide, 10 feet long, and about 6 feet high. That's big. So now we know why the Father had instructed the Israelites to put the grade in the middle and to put the staff in the midway of this thing. And also now we understand why the Father had the altar to be made of shittim wood, because it's a very hard piece of wood that can endure and that can take the fire. Because think about it, that wood was overlaid with brass, and brass represent what the melon, okay? Because it also can what endure the fire. It can take it. This is no joke. So as the daily sacrifice is placed in this, okay, imagine this: the daily sacrifice is placed in this, and when that fire come up, y'all, it's very hot, but this altar can contain all of that. It can withstand all of that. And when the daily sacrifice go through the fire, it come out to be something new. So for example, we know when we do a cookout and you get a burnt piece of meat, right? We know that burntness will cleanse you and detoxify you, right? So just as that animal flesh was changed into something that would cleanse you into a new product, the same would happen to us as we're placed in this altar and we allow the living word, who not only shall baptize us with water and spirit, but he's going to also submerge us in the fire. And when he submerges us in the fire, we come out to be a new creature, meaning that we becomes the servants of God, the servants of Yah, the servants of righteousness. Yeah, I see we're going with this. And we're no longer a servant of sin. And we have put the flesh, or we have crucified the flesh, and we have put, what's that word? Death to sin, something like that. So, we now see how this all come together. This is, y'all, this is miraculous. Remember, my brother, wait, okay, let me make sure I'm reading your comment correctly. You're right. Nothing remains the same when fire touches it. I got to show that comment. It's the same when fire touches it, and that's true. Now, for those who are unrighteous, if they go on that same fire, they're gonna be completely destroyed. Completely destroyed. Wow. I did want us to look at the color of brass again, because I know some people say it's more of a gold color, more yellow, not a brown. But there are, do it anyway, because I know how I think. Because if say it's yellow, there's a patch the complexion of David, And I believe it has him as being a yellow complexion. So either way, if you want to try to say that the brass is only yellow, well, we have something else for you too on that end. I want to go ahead and give y'all that. So let me just pull up brass again, because I do want you to see the different colors of brass. Because yes, it can be like a gold color as well, but brass can become darker, being more brownish. Right here, you see more brownish undertones in it. Okay. And the reason why I'm pointing this out again, because it's giving us understanding about melanin, being melanated, and why the children of Israel was melanated. Okay, we bear the image of them, but it goes deeper. It goes back to the Adamic image, and the first Adam was melanated because melanin has to be able to endure the light. That light ain't no joke. When his spirit comes upon you and clothes itself, now imagine this: the spirit come upon you and it's enclosing itself around your body. That is your covering. That's what our foreparents had, right? That light, or I mean, that spirit ain't no joke. It is a fire. It produced the brightest light. Therefore, it's going to produce the greatest heat. So if you're not having this character, well, if you don't have this melanin upon you, you won't be able to withstand it. You'll be what's the word? Consumed. Something to think about. Again, this is not to make anybody feel less of an Adam. If you have little to no melanin, do not feel negative about yourself. Okay? You have to understand the history of mankind and what happened to mankind when the angels start to mingle themselves with them and they cause certain changes to come, okay, within mankind. So do not feel less. My Father will still receive you, for this is about the spirit now. This is about the one who lives in your belly, okay? Because the Father said, what his spirit has cleansed, no man cannot say, oh, he cannot be received by him. He will receive you. This is why 1 John chapter 4 tells us we have to test the spirit by the spirit. So whomever that I deal with or talk with, I'm not looking at your outer appearance. I'm looking at the heart. I'm looking at the one who have joined themselves to you. Just as Father look at you. Okay? So I thought I'd share that with you, and let me get my worker Josephus so I can give you the passage about David, about his complexion. I know it's in Antiquities, y'all, so just bear with me. Okay, I see the part with Solomon. Let me keep going back. Yep, keep going back. Just bear with me, y'all. Eventually, I'm going to get there. I'm in the part where he talks about David. It's one of those things where, I know it's in there. Got to put my hands on it. Yeah, that's something I'm going to have to put my hands on it. Let me look up one more thing, because what I may do in part 4, I would come back and give you that passage about David complexion. Also, the Father want me to mention to you on the channel, I can't remember the title of the video, when you have an ancient copy of the work of Josephus, he does give a description of the Messiah and his complexion. But unfortunately, due to people copying his works, they left it out. However, there is a guy named by, I think I remember his last name being Easler. I think it's John Easler, who wrote something about the Messiah, and he cites from the work of Josephus, giving us the physical description of him that Josephus written about him. So yes, we have a witness that will also confirm that. So I think in the next part 4, I would give you that resource that you can go and look that up. But now that book costs about now $1,000, y'all. I know it's up there. It's either 500 or 1,000. So let me check this last thing. Yeah, so I'll come back and get that in part 4. Okay. I just want you to know that brass can be light or dark. Okay. So when people come and start to say, well, there's no brown in it, that's not true. Right there, you can see how that brass is dark there. So what it's based showing us is showing us melon. Okay. Pigments of brown or blackness. Okay, but mostly when we see brass, we see pigments of brown in it, depending on how it's made and put together. Okay. So let's see if there's anything else on this lesson we need to look at. So trying to think if there's anything else, y'all. If not, we're gonna pick up in part 4. So part 4, we will be going back to the daily offering. Okay. Looking at some other things. So the things that I was supposed to present in part 3, we're going to hold off in part 4. So, in Numbers chapter 28, the verse 4 would be in part 4. It's another thing to be in part 4. And we're going to talk about the oil in part 4. Okay? Take this time to meditate what we just learned about the altar of burnt offering, with the brass altar of burnt offerings. Take this time to learn on that. Because y'all, this speaking volumes and so much. And then scroll down, just make sure that we close every verse out in the altar. Okay, don't think I might add just things that we talked about before, but remember verse 8, he said hollow with boards. What he's saying is when you put these boards together that's made of the shittim wood, when you put them together, it's going to form a square. He said hollow. So this inside had to be hollow. Okay. And then you had the horns at each corner. Right. And this pattern was showed unto Moshe in Mount Sinai. Okay. That's where this idea came from. So when you look at this image again, know that this came from heaven above. This did not come from man mindset. This came from my Father in heaven above. So that's the purpose of that verse, to let you know where they got this from. All right, y'all. I think today was an excellent word today. I hope that you see and hear the spiritual things just as the Father was showing me about it. We will come back in part 4, going back to the daily sacrifice. Also in part 4, I will give y'all the information dealing with David complexion and dealing with the information that Josephus wrote about the Messiah that you can find in Mr. Esau writings pertaining to the Messiah that will confirm everything that I'm saying here. All right. Make sure that we are preaching that the kingdom of heaven is at hand. That is the gospel. That is the message. And that while we are preaching this, we are to tell the people to repent. if they want to be in this kingdom. Because if they're not in this kingdom, they will go into the lake of fire. That is the eternal death. Continue to follow the example that Messiah set for the water baptism, the Holy Spirit baptism. Make sure you follow the instructions that's written in Romans chapter 10. Okay. If you have no one to baptize you, the Father has you covered. For the heavens and the earth and the water is a witness unto him. Bob is telling me I need to remind y'all, I had to make a correction. I think I said Ezekiel 40 in the last video, but it probably Ezekiel 20. Sometimes my tongue would do that. My mind be saying one thing, and my mind be saying what I want to say, but my tongue be doing something else sometimes. That's how it be. Okay. So he has given us those three witnesses, so you can baptize yourself, exercise your faith with works, believe. Okay, believe that those witnesses will make that report unto the Father. So where there's water, you can be baptized. Bathroom, swimming pool, river, lake, and ocean. Wherever there's water, you can baptize yourself if you have no one to do it. The second is the Holy Spirit baptism. Father made that easy. He can give it unto you no matter where you at. Okay. All we have to do is ask in the name of Yahusha HaMashiach, and he would give it. He would give you the Holy Spirit baptism according to your heart, your faith, and your words. Okay. Remember that Father knows what's best. All right. Love y'all all, and shalom. Oh, let me show this comment before we get off. But it said here, even fire has varied shades or undertone in its appearance, and that's true. So when people look at us, like those who are melanated, that means those who have pigments of brown and black. Even when you look at our skin tone, you can see other undertones such as the ruddiness, like the reddish-brown, or yellow, or pinkish. So there's a lot that people need to learn about when you look at people's skin pigmentation. Okay. All right. This complete this lesson, y'all. Love you. And remember, preach that gospel. Let the people know it is coming. The signs are upon us. Shalom.